This is the Reds POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Cincinnati Reds. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Reds fans? How we doing? Probably not very good. And welcome to another edition of the POSTCAST, brought to you by Locked On Reds and the Locked On Media Network. I am Tim Daniel. I've been covering the Cincinnati Reds in podcast form for 5 years at publications such as Late Night Reds and The Riverfront. And I want to thank you all for hanging out with me today as we talk about yet another Reds loss to the Milwaukee Brewers. Tonight's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, where your first $5, if you're a new customer, your first $5 bet can bring you up to $200 in bonus bets. On today's show, the Reds are officially the little brother of the Milwaukee Brewers. I don't know if officially is the word because they probably have been for a while now, but yeah, it happened again. The Reds have a lead and they lose. We're going to talk about the fact that the offense, once again, nowhere to be seen when it really matters the most for this team. How frustrating that could be, and how right now it seems like you have about two guys you can really rely on the most. And we're going to talk about the conversation of the pitching staff did their job today. Only gave up 3 runs. So we're going to discuss, that and talk about that. And of course, I'll listen to everything you guys have to say, because I'm sure you guys are just as happy and chipper as I am and in great spirits watching this team on a day-to-day basis. All right. Let's get started.
This is what you'll be talking about.
What point do you just say uncle to the Milwaukee Brewers? Today was a day that I wouldn't say I was super comfortable and super confident, because it's the Brewers and the Reds always find ways to lose to them. But I will say that the way things started felt pretty good. Reds are really good when they score first. When they score early is when they win games. Scored 2 to start the game. Brady Singer has a clean first inning. You're thinking this might be the day. This might be the day the Reds get to win. And you know that in order for them to do anything, they have to win the first 2 games to win a series. Otherwise, they will not win a series. So history says, don't count on it again, folks. But today, things look pretty exciting, right? TJ Friedl starts the game with a hit. Gavin Lux gets out. Ellie gets an RBI. Spencer Steer later on lays down one of the best bunts I've ever seen to bring Ellie in. And you're up 2-0. You're thinking, all right, cool, let's get going. They have runners in scoring position. After that, can't bring anyone in. And Barry Larkin said this. He said this in the second inning. And I'm one who is very critical of Barry Larkin, the commentator, never the player. As you can see, he's behind me on the wall of Reds lore. But he said something to the extent of, John, they had those 2 runners in scoring position. They didn't bring them in. And I knew when he said it. I don't think he intentionally cursed the Reds by any means. Barry's not that kind of guy. But that was an omen, it felt like, because Milwaukee had scored those 2 runs. And then Christian Yelich comes in the third inning and hits a solo shot again for his, I don't know, has he broken Hank Aaron's record against the Reds? Not Barry Bonds, because that's a lot, but Hank Aaron maybe, feels like it, to make it 3-2 off of the batter's eye, deck, you name it, it went there. That was a tank shot. And no one scored again after that. I talked about this Saturday with the Cubs, and I think a lot of people were really critical of me when I said that they had a lot of chances to win that game because, people were like, well, they only had 1 hit. The Cubs weren't doing anything either. It took the Cubs a long time to score 2 runs in that game. Today, all 5 runs were scored early, and the Reds had more hits after that and couldn't do anything with it. They just keep losing these games. And look, they're out down at the end of the 6th inning. You knew what it was from there. Okay, so this is popping up a lot. Who are they selling? I don't know who do you want to sell Ellie and Hunter Green? I don't know. Absolutely not. It's bad, but good Lord. They don't have a whole lot of guys to sell. I wish they did, because they'd probably feel better about the future of the team. But I digress. I don't know what to do here. You do this stretch. It's all we talked about, this make or break stretch. And after you lost the Cubs series, this series got even more important. and you couldn't put anything together here offensively. So today they have 8 hits as a team, solid. They walked twice today, and they were a solid 2 for 8 with them in score position, not bad. But once again, they lose a 1-run game, and they leave, you guessed it, 7 guys on base. So it's the beauty of the Reds right now is situational hitting is not existent for them. And look, they're once again in a situation where they're pinch hitting Connor Joe and Garrett Hampson with big at-bats in this game. I don't know. I had a lot of Cubs fans in the chat this week who were saying, like, you guys are pretty good. You guys are almost there. Like, you guys have major league players. And I feel that way too. But I don't really know how this gets better. And today stunk again. I heard Jeff and Steve talk today, like, well, the wild card's not out of the picture. And I love those guys to death. They're really good friends. I'd do anything for them. I don't know how I see the wild card being a thing here. I don't know. Joey Gaditza says here, maybe moving up from Valleca. They get hits. I mean, they, like 8-9 hits. You take that most nights. And I don't know. I mean, you have guys like Garrett Hampson getting at bats. Is that Chris Valleca's fault that Garrett Hampson and Connor Joe are getting at bats? I don't know. Not that I think he's been great, but Jake Fraley, Garrett Hampson, Connor Joe, these aren't formidable guys. So I don't know what they do here, but that's been frustrating. And this is obviously a disappointing loss because it's a game they had the lead in early and they had chances to add on and they didn't. So we'll get to that. And after that, we'll talk about the offense and we'll get deeper into this Chris Valleca conversation apparently, because right now I feel like they have only a couple guys they can count on. And I feel like you guys think that as well. So let's go ahead and dive into that right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Wonderful Pistachios. I will tell you what, guys, I love Wonderful Pistachios. I bought in. Once I started working at Locked On, I started getting 3 or 4 different flavors at the gas station or Amazon, you name it, I bought it, and I'm a fan. I've had the jalapeno lime. That's my favorite so far. My wife really liked this salt and vinegar. The sea salt and vinegar one was one she really liked. And the chili roasted's really good. The smoked barbecue one's really good. These are awesome. And they're good for you too. That's the best part about it is I'm guilty of the old classic potato chip. This is really taking the place of the potato chip in my life. Just a nice healthy snack that is really good for you and gives you everything you need. It's pretty solid. You should go out there. There's so many different flavors. They're at your local grocery store. They're at your local gas station. You name it, you can find it. Pick up Wonderful Pistachios. Get snackin' and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. I want to thank you all for spending some time with me tonight here on the Reds Postcast as we discuss yet another frustrating day in Reds fandom, losing 3-2 to the Milwaukee Brewers. If you are checking me out for the first time, please be sure to give me a subscription and also follow us here on YouTube or your podcast app of choice, where you can not only get my show after every single game, you can also get Jeff and Steve Monday through Friday on Locked On Reds. Let's go ahead and get to where this game was out of hand for the Redlegs.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Christian Yelich's home run, because no one scored from there. So that was cool. Talking about no one scoring from there, how about the offense, shall we? Today, 2 runs, 8 hits. You think, all right, wow, 8 hits is solid. And some guys had good performances. TJ Friedl, 2 hits and a walk. Once again on base 3 times. Gavin Lux had a hit and a walk. Ellie has an RBI single. Tyler Stevenson has 2 hits. You think that, they did well enough there, but it's a situational hitting thing. And we talk about it all the time. And they just seem to always find a way to not be able to get the much needed hits. And during the game today, they were talking about Francona had this message to his team about instead of waiting for a spark, you got to make a spark. And I think they tried. I certainly think they tried today and just didn't go their favor. Friedl had a bunt single. Steer obviously had that bunt RBI. That was a really cool play. But it just seems like they don't ever seem to figure things out. And it seems like it's just like they just can't ever string these together. And it's like when they do string them together, they score 12, 13 runs. And then you have days like today where they just can't put anything out there. And it's so irritating because they need these games. Like, I agree with what Jeff and Steve said on the show today. I don't think there's any chance they catch the Cubs. And, you know, like I said, like, I don't agree that they have a shot. I don't see them as a postseason team. I'll be honest. Yeah, Logan, I agree. I agree. Gave me a lot of false hope too. I felt good after that. But we just run in this circle now. And this circle is what's irritating because I get it. Every major league bench is going to have some guys where, you know, that guy maybe shouldn't be getting a whole lot of major league at bats. How many guys in the Reds are guys you're like, maybe they shouldn't be getting a lot of major league at bats? And you can, I talk about this all the time. And I get it. They're down Marte. They're down this guy. They're down that guy. But also, like I said yesterday, everyone's kind of saying like, well, you know, when CES is back, like, we have no idea how good he is. Or when Chamber Candelario is back, that has been god awful since he's been a Red. Noelvi Marte, you can probably get me like a little bit more optimistic on. But I'm not at the point where I'm like, all right, cool. This fixes everything. Fixes everything is getting major league players. And the Reds seem to just have an issue with doing that. And I don't know whether that's just the budget's off or that's just that they're not willing to do so. But yeah, and there's a lot of decisions here. So we'll ask this one $1 million question right here. Why keep Hampson in the ninth? Why not Windsor McLean? You can say anything you want to me about Matt McLean and how much he struggled, and I'm going to agree with you. Yeah, why is he not getting that at bat there? Why is Austin getting that bat there? Austin Wynn says like 3 at bats since Tyler Stevenson came back. Maybe more, but it doesn't feel like it. I don't understand that decision there. I don't get why, if you're going to go down with the ship in a game you really need, that's the guy you're like, last at bat of the game? Cool. Garrett Hampson. I don't know anymore, guys. I don't know. We all love this team. We all want to see this team win. We all want to see this team be successful. I don't know what it's going to take, and it's getting frustrating. I get it. You know, it's like, I feel like if you look at that 1 through 4 today, you're pretty happy. I mean, Gavin Lux sitting in front of Ellie, Tyler Stevenson hitting behind him. It's just like, do you feel like that's something that you should be able to win games with? It seems like after, and like, I mean, I think Spencer Shears played really well last few weeks. I know he's really had a rough season coming back from getting a little bit of a late start in the year, but I don't know. We're still sitting here kind of spinning our circles, just trying to figure out how we can get this team to win some games. And I don't see how it can happen, but hey, let's go ahead and let's wrap it up here with talking about something good today. Let's talk about the pitching, but first we'll get to our Locked On Player of the Game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I'm going to go with TJ Friedl, who probably has a shot to be an all-star reserve, realistically, the year he's had. Today gets on base 3 times, 2 for 3 with a walk. Pretty awesome. Thought he was great, like always. He's the man. He's like the one thing that has you like feeling excited. Him and Ellie De La Cruz feel like the only 2 guys you can consistently trust in this team. But I think Tyler Stevenson's getting there. He's been swinging the bat really well of late. So I think he's going to come around as well. On to pitching. And today was a day that, yeah, that catch was awesome, Dave. You're right. Totally forgot about that. Today was a day that Brady Singer wasn't his best self. Wasn't bad. Wasn't great. 5 innings, 4 strikeouts, 3 earned runs. Does have 3 walks. And does give up the solo shot to Yelich. But I mean, anyone was going to give up a home run to Yelich. I mean, Johnny Cueto in his prime probably gives up a home run to Yelich there if you pitch for the Reds. It's just how it goes against that guy. But Singer was solid today. Gave them a chance to win. That's all I can really ask for. And we've talked bad about this bullpen. We've been frustrated with this bullpen. We've talked about how taxed they are now for a couple weeks. Bullpen was good today. Brent Suter comes out, ending against his former team. Does solid. Brent Suter's so underrated at this point, I feel like. Ian Jabot, ending in 2/3. Wasn't bad. Got a strikeout. Taylor Rogers gets his one out, And then Scott Barlow comes out, and Scott Barlow's been pitching pretty well of late. I mean, he really has. I guess I talked about this the other day when he pitched on Saturday. For a guy that's been picked on a lot by Reds fandom being frustrated, he's getting as many innings as he is. He hasn't been bad of late. It's been pretty decent. But yeah, Will says right here, Brady Singer throwing a lot of throwing 40 pitches in the second inning. That's kind of, that's going to do you in, obviously, especially against a team like that who everybody's hitting in that team, it feels like. And the Reds really kind of kept them at bay. A couple more hits, bring in a couple more runs. You guys win the game. We win the game today. And we're not screaming uncle to the Milwaukee Brewers yet again after yet another loss. But give kudos to the bullpen. They did their thing today. And I don't think they're super taxed. Let me see. Jabot, maybe. But looking at pitch counts for the game. So Suter threw 19, Jabot threw 14, Taylor Rogers threw 6, Scott Barlow threw 19. So not awful, not super taxing, especially when you have an off day on Thursday. So we'll see. But the Cincinnati Reds, unfortunately, are once again losers to the Milwaukee Brewers tonight. 3-2. The Milwaukee Brewers have 3 runs on 5 hits and an error. The Reds have 2 runs on 8 hits, no errors. Your winning pitcher tonight is Aaron Savali. Your losing pitcher tonight is Brady Singer. And Tyler McGill gets his 12th save of the year. But tomorrow, you have a chance at maybe making this even. We have quite the pitching matchup tomorrow as Hunter Green takes the hill for the Redlegs at 4-3 with a 2.63 ERA, going against Freddie Peralta, who is 5-3 with a 2.77 ERA. First pitch is at 7:10. Should see if the Reds can maybe score some runs in that game and can win that one. That'd be ideal. We shall see. But I'll be back here for regardless how things go tomorrow. I'm Tim Daniel. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow.